Hello and welcome to the Comic Rush Presents From Panels to Pictures. This is episode 2 of our comic book movie and TV show. Once again, I am joined by Nikki Hrax. Hi, Nikki.
Hi.
Thank you so much for coming back again this week. We did New Mutants last week or the week before, I think it was now, which was an audio-only podcast. You can still find that on the website. Just go to thecomiccrush.com where you'll find all the articles, reviews, videos, and everything we've got on the site so far. We've got some great podcasts and things. Also, please do check out our Patreon, because the Patreon and the web store that we have, where we sell single issues of comics and first issues and all types of things, really, that helps keep us going. Literally cannot keep the website going if you guys don't kind of maybe visit the store once in a while. It really helps. I'm really grateful if you guys can do that. And also on the YouTube, please do give us a comment or a like and a subscribe if you can, and share it with anyone you think might be interested, because again, that all helps get the message out there. It's literally a very small site. It's just 1 or 2 people on it who run the thing, and anything you can do to help us really helps keep it going. Now, before we get into this, Nikki, we're going to be talking about Wonder Woman 84, WW84, Wonder Woman 1984, whatever you want to call it. But there's a couple of things we have to address from the New Mutants podcast. So one of the patrons, great guy named Paul Taylor, who tunes in every week. He loves the pods and everything. He said, I really liked, you and Nikki on the pod, but you need to get an X-Men expert on there, because there are a few things you got wrong. I got sent maps. So first of all, and most of this is my bad, it has to be said, the character of Wolfsbane was not supposed to be Irish in the comics. She is in fact Scottish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Lorraine.
So yeah, I'm really sorry about that, guys. That is down to me. I got that wrong. I do apologize, because it's just the way I read the character I'd only ever read her in X Factor, where I thought they were writing her as Irish, and they're not. They were writing her as Scottish. So I do apologise. Being a Celt myself, I should have known the subtle differences, and I just didn't. So sorry about that. And also not Bill Sinkovich, who co-created the New Mutants. The name has, of course, escaped me again, because in prepping for this, we were kind of rushing through and haven't had time to double check my notes. But yeah, it wasn't him that co-created the New Mutants. I'm going to look it up now. So I apologise to anyone. Yeah, to anyone annoyed or offended by us suggesting it was someone other than the correct creators. Just checking now.
I went through, when I read those comics for the Wonder Woman stuff, I literally wrote down everybody's name next to it. In the dates.
The thing is, you can't, you're not always going to get it right. And there is a ton of stuff I've never read. So, and I do usually say that, straight away. I am just trying to find his message here. He sent us a lovely message, and he was very complimentary about the pods, and he's a great guy, and I'm grateful to him, because he is one of the patrons, which are all which we all kind of need to keep going. Oh, he didn't actually tell me who the creator was. Paul, I'm really annoyed.
No, it is appreciated. If I see something wrong, I hope somebody critiques me on it. I don't want to be giving out false information. It is appreciated.
Yeah. Also, a lot of my comic knowledge, I don't know about you, like I'm very much rooted in the sort of late 80s, and it's nearly all Batman for me. Unfortunately, I have to say, very much rooted in the sort of late 80s. onwards. And that's where a lot of my comic knowledge comes from. And there's a lot of things that I just haven't read. And no matter how hard you try, I think we talked about this last time, you'll never read everything you want to read. Yep. You'll never get to it all. You'll never watch every film you want to watch. You'll never listen to every bit of music you want to listen to. Because that's not life. That's
You're always trying to get to those moments. I have this book. I didn't realize that I had the Invasion book until I was reading about the backstory of Max. I'm like, wait a second. I have this, but I never read it. Then powered through. Yeah. But
I think Todd McFarlane do some of the art on that, actually, on Invasion.
Yeah, he's on this.
It's really good stuff. I've got the original issues kind of tucked away in a box somewhere, but that was one of the very first crossovers I ever got. Like, I actually kind of, when I started buying comics, I think it was around I'm going to guess and say it's 1990 is the release date for Invasion.
Let's see. Yeah, I think you're right. Where we got it over here? Oh my God, I'm not going to find it in here. Keep going, Paul.
Yeah. Go. Fact checks live. Yeah. But I think 1990 was the release date for that, and you had things like Legion 91 come out of it, and various other things. Invasion is a great storyline, and if you get a chance to read it, guys, do take a look. Regardless of Maxwell Lord or not, that there is some fantastic stuff in it, and it is a really good. Even if you just get those 3 issues, that like it was fantastic, and I just absolutely loved it at the time. But moving on to Wonder Woman, we've got to talk about Wonder Woman. So this is the sequel to Patty Jenkins' original Wonder Woman movie. This is called WW84 or Wonder Woman 1984, which should give you a clue as to when it's set. This is a very different movie from the first. There are some similarities. Hopefully we'll hit some of that as we go through. But before I jump in and sort of give my view on it, Nikki, I would love to hear what you thought of the movie, because I suspect we're going to have very different views on this.
Yeah, I think we are. I'm looking forward to your viewpoint on it, because I want to be swayed. Paul, I really tried. I watched it a second time reluctantly. Yeah. And I was able to pull out some tidbits that I did like from it. But all I'm going to say is that first movie made me cry. I thought we were going in a nice direction for female superheroes, really changing it, building positive role models for little girls. And we just jumped off a cliff here. All I'm going to say is I'll never love again. That's all. That's all. I think that's where I'm signing out on my headline for the movie.
That's quite a capsule review there. Can you kind of elaborate a bit, because I did enjoy it. I'm not going to go in just yet as to why I enjoyed it and what about it I enjoyed, because I want to hear what you've got to say. So why do you think you've had such a drastically different view for the sequel than from the first movie?
I think there are a lot of different parts. I guess we could go into the scene breakdown a little later, but
yeah, sure. I mean,
it started off so strong with that opening scene, and the race and everything, and the messaging and, good morals that we're going to be hammering home. And then it's we went into a slapstick comedy, the next scene over when we jumped to in the time to 1984. So from there to let's see, how do I phrase this? Who fights in wedge heels? Number one. Why were they highlighted throughout the movie? The whole thing felt like a model photo shoot to me. You could clearly see where they had a fan in front of Wonder Woman, and her hair was just going everywhere in every perfect direction. It seemed very superficial throughout it. And and then the whole part with just it became this love story. And I get we're going with superhumans. Like, I think we brought this up in the last podcast too. Like, we want to humanize superheroes, but like, why can't Wonder Woman just be Wonder Woman and like just get in there, kick ass? This guy's like demolishing the planet, and like we're focused on our wish here and just like maintaining that. And it was just very sappy, and like I didn't. Paul, again, I like really tried. I did like Barbara's character a lot, and I wish there was more of her in it. I will say that I thought she was very strong, especially upon the second time watching it. I found that I really thought they did well with her, and I wish she could have just finished out the movie strong, but or just like maybe cut out Wonder Woman and make it more about Barbara for me. It's funny how long-winded response.
No, that's great. I mean, there's a lot there. You see, I don't. I felt the movie was a bit too long.
Yeah.
Just a smidge, and I felt it could do with a trim here and there. But in looking at it, like I'm not sure what scenes you would have cut in order to get you down to kind of a runtime. In terms of looking at it scene by scene, I guess, at least for the early parts of the movie, you get two opening sequences, which for me is always the kiss of death with a lot of films.
Oh,
because what it's essentially telling you is we don't really have a middle or an end. You know, one of those things will be missing, or we don't have a first act properly. So we're just going to keep giving you beginnings.
Yeah.
I can't remember what movie was like that a few years back that drove me mad because I think it was Suicide Squad. Funny enough, another
another fun one.
Yeah, which had something like 4 beginnings, and it just wouldn't. It's like just start the goddamn movie. However, I liked both opening scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the scene of the young Diana, Lily Aspel, I think it is. She's a great kid, by the way. Like I saw an interview with her on TV on the day Wonder Woman became available for streaming in the UK. Excuse me. And she's great because she wants to be the first actress to win the Olympics and the Oscars. And I just thought that was great.
That's so cute. Yeah.
What a lovely kind of ambition. And also, I think that speaks to the core of what Wonder Woman as a character does, which is inspire.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in reading a few of the comics in the last couple of years. Not many, not super well read on Wonder Woman. And I prefer sort of concentrated mini-series and things like that anyway, or one, original graphic novels and things. But that's where the real power of Wonder Woman lies, is her ability to inspire, not necessarily in her own kind of strengths. And I think that's great. And that sequence, I thought was fantastic. I felt that the message got a little bit lost in the kind of, don't. How did you put it? Kind of don't. Because she's told that she has to be truthful in all things.
Yeah, like there's no shortcuts in life. Like,
thank you.
100%. Like, and that scene was inspiring. It was. That's the essence of Wonder Woman, and like throughout the rest of it, it was. She looked like she was not inspired. She looked uninterested in everything that she was doing, and I think that's the part that annoyed me. Like, I remember that scene when she was running after the bad guys when they were where were they? Where did they go? Where Max had his oil deal.
Yeah.
That whole scene
is it Egypt?
I think it might have been. They had like all the trucks down like the road, and like of course then if that wasn't enough, they had like the little kids down there. Like we had some trouble ahead, to say the least. And she's just running there like, not this again. Like come on, like get with it, like show a little enthusiasm, for either kicking somebody's ass or saving somebody, like, but the whole thing had like that overtone. It was like I was rooting for Barbara like the whole way. I was like, come on, just get it, girl. Like, what's going on with Wonder Woman? Like, enough.
Oh God, it's so scathing. Well, I mean, like in terms of again, I've got to go back to those opening sequences. I love both the
Sorry.
opening
Yeah.
sequences. Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. I see. I don't feel that way. I like. It's the second sequence I had the problem with in terms of following on from that first sequence. I actually think they kind of should have cut the first sequence
Oh wow.
and just moved that to later on in the movie.
Mm.
At the point when Diana is kind of morally conflicted about some of the things she does, because she does unknowingly make the bad choice here. However, that I love that the opening sequence of her stopping the crimes, and that reminded me of Superman the movie. Because in the middle of Superman the movie, there's a massively long, not massively long, but there's a big sequence where he kind of stops a bunch of crimes that progressively get bigger. And they kind of kick off the plot with Lex Luthor. And here, this sequence kicks off the plot with Max Lord and this artifact. And in regards to that, at first I was like, man, this is really hokey. They find this magic stone that when you touch it and make a wish, as long as that's your one wish, it gives you that wish. And it's so stupid. It's so hokey. It's just like a comic book. And then I stopped. It's just like, yes,
I'm buying it.
Just like a comic book.
Good.
And it's just like, okay, they've kind of got me now, because it's a comic book plot perfectly translated to the screen. Now, I don't know if there's any kind of canonical basis for this sort of the wishing stone and all that kind of stuff. And it was hokey as hell, but I found myself kind of, once I kind of went, oh yeah, it's a comic book movie.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's fine. I'm down with this now. So there's going to be this magic object that they've somehow kind of got to get hold of, and it's not just, oh, you've got to destroy the stone or you've got to do this. You've got to give up your heart's desire, and it's just like, yeah, there you go. I'm actually in, and I think thematically, the film works towards that really well. And it is Diana that, inadvertently kicks it off, because she, without voicing it, makes that wish and gets Steve Rogers back. Now, that was really strange as well, seeing Chris, because although she sees Chris Pine, he sees the other guy, because he doesn't come back to life. Spoilers, by the way, everyone. Sorry. I'll put a warning before when we tweet out about this. As you should know by now, we do spoilers. So he inhabits someone else's body, which again is completely hokey and completely.
It's a little weird, yeah.
But it's magic, and also it's the thing is, when you look at the beginning of the film, a lot of the people she saves are children. And jumping ahead to the end of the movie, sorry, we can come back around. Sorry, it's kind of, she needs Max's kid to kind of bring him down from the sort of exalted stuff in. She saves children at the midpoint in the movie where they're in Egypt, and they're trying to stop the guy who's built the giant wall and all that kind of stuff. And Wonder Woman is designed to kind of inspire young women, i.e. children. So I think this film is a film that's made for children. And I think the reason it's so kind of hokey, and in a lot of ways quite simplistic, is because it's being aimed at young children.
You just blew my mind. No, I'm not even kidding.
That'll be the only time that ever happens.
Like my head just exploded at that revelation that could have been what happened.
Possibly. I mean, I'm just. It's just my thoughts. I'm just guessing. I'm not like I don't know.
Well, even like from our last podcast, where I definitely thought that was geared like that. 100%. I was signing off on a kids movie, like for the New Mutants, like to come to this, to like readjusting my perception of what a kids movie is. I could totally see that. I think it's a great point.
Do you not think like it's a weird thing with comics? It's a child's medium, and this is the one thing I always have to remind myself. If I find myself taking it too seriously or getting annoyed about comments online, is oh my it's God. A kid's medium. And yes, a lot of comics are not written for children. Mm-hmm. However, when I started enjoying this medium, I was 11. It's younger really. I dare say that you were really, you were a kid when you started reading comics, as most are. So it's the ultimate kids medium, and I don't think there's anything wrong with making a film, especially one like this that's designed for kids. I think it's absolutely fine to go off and make Batman v Superman and go, well, I'm going to make this grim and gritty for adults. Despite the backlash that gets, that's fine. That's one version of Batman. I think the new Batman film is going to be super grim and gritty.
Yeah.
However, then I don't think there's anything wrong with having a Wonder Woman film that's aimed at young women. And I think that's what it's for, and I think that is amazing. And I'm not saying that older men can't enjoy it as well, because I did, but you always have to remind yourself, as we're watching things like Titanic and Twilight and any of that stuff, that you may not be the target audience. However, in your case,
why are they making this movie for me?
Yeah. Just for me.
I knew you were gonna change. Like, you've removed like a huge layer of hatred for this movie. Like, for me, like you made it a little bit better with that, because that's not even something I considered. I considered it from, why are we taking this strong female lead, and like she clearly knows that she's in the wrong here. She's judging another woman for not wanting to forfeit her wish, but it's okay for her to want to keep her own and stay in this like fantasy love dream, and then just let the world wither away because of that reason. I'm looking at it from there, but like, again, that human element, making her relatable for people, and it somehow made your commentary on it just somehow made it a little bit better for me to stomach.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, really, that wasn't not my intention. I think everyone's entitled to their own views on a piece of art if they've looked at that piece of art and read it or whatever. But I think in terms of that thing of not wanting to give up her wish, I think that partly that might have been, in thinking about it now, you've kind of made me just really think about that. And I wonder if it's kind of, well, hold on, I can see that the thing that Barbara doing is harmful to people in terms of what she's becoming, whereas the thing I want actually is only harmful to one person, which is the poor sucker whose body has been hijacked.
Yeah, really.
I wonder if there's an element of that, although it's not really explored in the film.
Yeah.
And so much of our movie watching now is looking at the moral context and second life of the film, thinking about it around the film. Although that is a thing that annoys me. I'm doing a thing that usually annoys me. It's where I'm treating it beyond the actual piece of art that it is. It's just like, no, just watch the goddamn thing. It's a film. Be about the film.
Well, there's so many different takes that you could have on it because of that reason. Like, but even Max's part, where And again, like, I will go back after watching the movie, reread those comics, and I will have the fangirl like, this didn't line up with the comic, you know, like what's going on? And there's like a level where, you know, I'll allow, like, I'm glad that Barbara wasn't a virgin, and that's why she had like this, you know, this curse put on her. You know, I'm glad that we're not going in that direction with it. But like, even Max's thing, like, this guy's like terrorizing the planet, and now you're going to give him like a 2-second backstory where we're going to have sympathy for this guy. You know, like, why can't we develop him like along the way so that you're struggling with siding with the bad guy a little bit and like humanizing him? You know, let's just drop it right before we're going to make everything just go away.
Yeah, and that's an interesting thing, because I think there is a tendency in a lot of films, for better or worse now, especially mainly comic book movies, to be honest, which is to completely humanize the bad guy to such an extent that you end up with things like Thanos was right. And
love Thanos.
Yeah, and it's just like there is a sense. I think people want more complex villains, and they want to be able to at least recognize their own moral dilemmas in a villain. And I do like looking at Max. He's not like he is in the comics. He's very different, and there is this marked air of desperation. One of the things I found in the film, actually, and it was the scene where he arrives at his offices, and he's sort of all kind of cool and hip, and you know, he's hey guy to the other guy in the waiting room and stuff, and like very flash, lots of swagger. And he gets in the lift, and when he gets in the lift, you just watch him deflate. And it's a great bit of physical acting from Pedro Pascal. And I actually think, in looking at the movie and looking at the way Gal Gadot has done her performance in the film and the way that Kristen Wiig does hers, they're very physically demonstrative. And I actually think, I had a thought when I was watching it again today, that it's like, you could probably, I bet if you shut the sound off this movie and just watched it, you would get it.
Yeah.
No problem. And that's something I have to really commend in Patty Jenkins and the writers, because I think it's something that Spielberg does really well. Because I suspect if you look at a lot of Spielberg's early movies and you shut the sound off, within about 5 or 10 minutes, you would get what was going on. Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? You know, what do they want? And I that was another reason I just found myself being really impressed with the film, is that it's a very clear through line over, you know, what do I want? And I like the idea of flipping the first movie so that Steve Rogers is the fish out of water this time.
Yeah.
I
thought that was fun.
Yeah. And that stuff made it quite light and pleasurable. I wish they'd kind of integrated it a bit more with some of the plot points. However, you know, you can't have everything. Yeah, I mean, like, overall, I really loved it and really found myself enjoying it. Apart from the sheer bloody length of it, it's just like, oh god,
come on. I'm like, I'm happy that second time I could just like cruise through this. I'm like, I know nothing is coming. I'm just gonna speed through a little bit. But even after reading the comics, I was able to go back in that second time and like pick up things that I enjoyed the nod, knowing a little bit more about the characters. You know, instead of them like, they bastardized Barbara's character. Like, I liked the little nods that Wonder Woman was wearing her cheetah heels, even though like I didn't think heels needed to be part of this movie, but like it was just so annoying. Like, it was the 80s, but like that was such a gimmick, like, that they put that in there. Like, nobody's fighting in wedges, but like they had that nod. There was a cheetah in Barbara's office, or like on her way to her office. You know, the slow build of how she changes her clothing. She had plants all in her apartment, which in the comic, she gets her powers from a plant god. So
Right.
that, yeah, so that's how that thing, and then like they maintain the plant, like that. Anyhow, that's how she gets her powers. So I enjoyed that. Whether it was intentional, I don't know. Maybe she just had plants in her apartment, but like she had a lot of plants in her apartment. So I
Sure.
thought maybe that was a little bit. Max is like bleeding, like every time he made granted a wish. That was like very apparent in it. What else? Oh, I also watched a little bit of the TV show just to refresh. I gotta say, the effing invisible plane.
Mm.
I like when I watched it in the movie. So this is before I watched the TV show. I was like, what in the hell is going on here? All of a sudden, she could just make this plane invisible now. Like
Yeah.
it was so hokey. It was hokey. And then you go back to the TV show and it has like this little toy plane that they like have, I don't know, little figures in it, to show. I liked it though after seeing that.
But the invisible plane does it. It's in the comics, and they've done it in a bunch of different ways over the years.
Yeah.
They like it was a feature of the '80s comics, the George Perez stuff, which is again stuff I've not read extensively, and it was a feature of. So they have it in Grant Morrison's Wonder Woman Earth One. Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette. Sorry, I should point out Yannick Paquette is the artist on that. Um, it's a feature of Wonder Woman Earth One. I can't remember what I saw it in that it was done really well, but I actually like the idea that how do we get the invisible plane in this movie?
Yeah, it worked.
But I also like the idea of the writers and Patty Jenkins sitting around a table trying to work this movie out. And of all things, the invisible plane is too hokey. How are we going to do that? Oh
Yeah,
yeah, well we
really.
do it with the lasso. And it was just like you thought the invisible plane was too hokey.
Yeah. I know,
Like
I
you
know.
thought that was the kind
That
of
was
hokey thing.
that was like the line item. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was like great. Like I loved how they utilized it in the TV show, and then it made me
Right.
appreciate in the movie a little bit more. Unfortunately, in the comics, I only read the ones where Barbara was introduced.
Yeah, sure.
So I haven't gotten to the invisible plane. I got to her shoes being gifted to her by Hermes, but like so
Okay.
then that explained her flying too. It was like, what now all of a sudden she could fly too? Like, where is all this stuff just coming from? So they
Mm.
seasoned it throughout the movie. So like in essence, I guess it wasn't that bad. Like Barbara's character was a little off. She wasn't that nerdy, but like for the sake of the story, to deviate, I think that made sense.
Yeah.
So
And I like the idea of bringing back. Is it Aletha, Althea, the kind of warrior goddess with the armor? I love that. Um, and of course, Barbara. Like I saw a thing the other day complaining about. I think Barbara is the most short shrifted character of anyone in this,
mm,
really, because it's done in very broad strokes. But again, I think it's aimed at a younger audience, perhaps. Um, but it's done in these very broad strokes. Um, and people were complaining about, oh, well, she just puts on the heels and the tight leather pants and she's a badass. And it's just like, well, for me, no, I don't agree with that. And they were kind of dismissing it as sort of, it's so stupid that this is sort of
superficial, yeah.
shorthand. And it's just like, but you've got to look when she wishes to be like Diana. That's her wish. I want to be like Diana. I want to be strong. I want to be sexy. I want to be this. Now, look at how consciously she feels Diana is one way. She knows Diana as this woman who's tall. She's beautiful. She wears lovely clothes. She wears heels really well. She can move really well. All this. But subconsciously, whether she knows it or not, Diana is also Wonder Woman, who wears a leather armor.
Mhm.
and where's the armor is tight, and you know she's able to fight, and it's sexy, and all this, and it's just like I felt that what the wish, if you like, if you want to treat that as a kind
Mhm.
of ethereal character, was granting her was the chance to be truly like Diana, but on this much darker tip, which
Mm.
was, hey, eventually I'm going to kind of become this creature. And also, the whole thing of her turning into a cheetah at the end, she does, as you say, there are cheetahs and animal stuff littered throughout the film. Um, she does say at the beginning she is a part-time cryptozoologist.
Mm.
So and she does also say in the final stages, I want to be something that's never existed before.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then if you look at Diana, Diana becomes a bird at the end,
Mm.
effectively. She wears a great
Yeah.
big suit of armor with wings. She becomes like a giant bird of prey, or, you know. So I felt it was in keeping with the thematic thing of I want to be like Diana, and that's what she's doing. She's imagining,
Yeah.
and of course, what animal is most predatory to birds? Cats. And
Yeah.
I just felt like actually they've done a really freaking smart
They're
thing with this.
smart.
They
Yeah.
sort of kind of, yeah, and I was really happy they did that. And yeah, I have problems with it, but the more I look at it, the less those problems are present. You know, it's a
Oh
bit like,
yeah.
you
Like
know,
even watching it the second time, I was like, all right, I don't hate this as much as the first time. You know, like they like
I
there
just
are
hate it a
redeeming
little bit now.
a little bit, maybe the next time after. I love it. Um, you know, like there are these nice little nods, like there are smart things that are done. It's just the overarching like messaging, I guess, is what I
Mm,
had the initial problem with.
okay,
Um,
yeah,
but yeah.
because
Oh,
sorry,
sorry. But like even Barbara's character with Max, like who's the side like is there like a sidekick element to it? Like I want like these ferocious characters and God, I know I'm never going to get them, you know? Like just be evil. Just be an
mm,
evil character. Like there's always those layers and I love that villains have, you know, layers, they have interesting backstories and stuff, but I don't know. It's I felt like they could have done more for her
mm.
in it.
I always feel now though when you look at when you see genuinely mean people in movies or TV, it always kind of tips over into comedy because it's actually quite funny to watch
Yeah.
people be shits. And I love things where people are like I will watch anything where the main character is an a hole. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not a way I want to be in my life, and I hope I'm not.
You're
I'm
not.
sure I have my moments, but I love things where people are just dicks, and,
Yeah.
and you know I love seeing them get their comeuppance as well. It's
Oh,
almost
yeah.
like watching. Um, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Here's one. I mean, I use a lot because a friend brought this up to me, and I hadn't realised it until he brought it up. Do you remember the TV show 24?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah. So
very intense.
where they're just torturing people left, right, and centre in that, and it was sort
Yeah.
of post 9/11. So you fucking like everyone was yeah, Jack Bauer. But
Get 'em!
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think what one of the things that 24 said without overtly saying it was you can do what you want to achieve your goals if your goals are um, quote unquote good, but you're going to get punished for it
Mm.
because you know there's plenty of times when Jack Bauer gets dragged off to China to be tortured for
Yeah.
years and stuff like that, and it's just like it's like yeah we've got to have heroes, but we've kind of almost got to punish our heroes for being heroes
Oh,
in a
yeah.
way. And
Oh,
I always think there's an element of that to a certain degree in some of in a lot of fiction now.
mm.
Like no one gets off completely scot free, just like no villain is completely evil. There's got to be this element of you know. And but I mean I think Max's kind of motivation which is seemingly he just wants to impress his kid and be
Yeah.
kind of rich and popular and all that stuff, was a little shaky,
Mm.
and I don't think that was clearly defined. And again, the very opening sequence of the young Wonder Woman, the young Diana, um, I really felt that at a point in the movie where she's got to make that decision to give up Steve, um, that is when that sequence should have been dropped in.
Yeah.
Like, because it was, because I felt it was kind of saying, like you say, no shortcuts in life, and in order that was the key point where you needed that hammered home, and also
100%.
it would have
Yeah.
just editorially stopped that thing of having two fucking opening sequences, which you didn't need.
Yeah, just move it here, and then we
Yeah,
could eliminate that scene where she had her tantrum after killing off Steve and goes like skydiving. Like what was that? Like she spends like hours, like the world's falling apart,
hmm.
wishes him away, and then like goes on this tangent flying expedition, and then winds up back in her apartment. Like you could have just gone around the corner, gotten your gear
Right.
on, and then gone. Like what are we doing here? Like was that part necessary? Like we know it's shitty. Now go kick somebody's ass. Like get it out of your system.
I yeah, emotion on an emotional level, I love that sequence where she kind of just walks around the corner and leaves him, and as she's running away, she goes, "Okay, I renounce the wish," because
Yeah.
she can't watch him disappear. I actually really like that on an emotional level.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, good," bit
Oh,
of
I
drama.
love you, Diana. I didn't
Yeah,
catch that the first time. I'm like, all right, we're really hammering it. Yeah.
but
But
and I did like the yeah. Although I felt adding the bit with the kids in danger might have been a bit too much. The sequence in we think it's Egypt.
no,
Um,
it was totally Egypt, by the way. I'm remembering the pyramids now. So
right. Okay. Yeah. So that sequence I actually really liked. I thought that was a good action sequence. Um, and I like the idea of the fact that as long as Steve exists, he's making her weaker. Like
yeah.
that was an interesting thing. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, that's good. And again, it's another way in which it lines up with the old Christopher Reeve Superman movies,
Mm.
because there's that whole thing in Superman 2 where he gives up his powers for love, and it's just like, okay, yeah, I like it. I mean, sometimes I'm a big fan of that sort of uber melodrama where you really hit I used to love kind of in fact still do, like 50s musicals. I
Yeah.
love that. I like the big emotion of it, and I think if a film is done right, it can carry you through that emotion, and it will make that emotion seem true. And I think this kind of pretty much achieved that for me, but I guess not for you. And I'm really kind of, it's the same that you
Yeah, and
didn't.
like now that you even bring it up, like I love Superman 2. Love that movie. I felt like it was, you just saw him like withering away. Maybe they just didn't nail it home enough with,
Mm,
she just got a couple of bullets. Like, oh no, now I bleed.
yeah.
Like I don't know. I didn't feel it, and I what maybe it's because I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting the next level of Wonder Woman to be emotionally drained by like a love story. And again,
Okay.
totally in its right to have that connection from the first, like in the carryover of all the emotions from the first one. But like you have everybody under attack, like, and I wanted
Yeah.
her to be stronger in it and just like continue on. Like, you have to face your fears. You can't cheat in life. Like, this is not the short. Stealing this other guy's body is not going to be okay. Like, for me and my romance, like Wonder Woman always knows what's good and bad. Like, and
Yeah.
it's been consistent throughout all of everything, every piece of content
Mm.
relating to her. So, like, why would we deviate that much for the movie? I just wanted her to be strong. I wanted Barbara to be strong. Like I wanted them to be like forceful throughout the whole thing and like have that clash. Like even their end scene where they were battling out, she's like, "Sorry, if you're not going to renounce your wish, like, and do away with your cheetah attire, then I'm gonna kill you." Which she didn't kill. Like she didn't end up killing her. Like what is this half-ass battle? She likes
Yeah.
her, but not really.
Hmm. It is a difficult one because she kind of, from the beginning, she says she won't kill anyone, and that's. But that I was fine with that because that
Mhm.
for me it's one of the long-standing things of superheroes where they don't kill. You know, Batman doesn't kill, Superman
Yeah,
doesn't kill. Um, Although depending on which version of Batman you're watching in movies, he does actually kill plenty of
yeah.
people. But
Kills plenty of
yeah,
people.
I like the fact that she was, for the most part, able to stick to that as a rule, and she was like, I'm
Mhm.
not doing this. I'm not murdering." And I think that's kind of a holdover thematically from the experiences in the first one.
Mm.
Um, and I really like that. In terms of the romance, I mean, it's interesting. I think they play the romance, the loneliness element really well because I don't know if you remember the scene where she goes out to dinner at the beginning on her own.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That
But
one.
in that scene, as the camera kind of pans down the street, you see a couple together. Then you see a guy grab a rose, presumably for his girlfriend or whoever. And then as the camera pans across the street, there's a couple that run towards each other and embrace. So everything around her is saying, "Love, love, look, there's love everywhere." Not for you, though. You have to sit there on your own. And even the guy, the
Yeah,
guy,
no, I
like the waiter's like,
kinda yeah,
"Are
I
you
agree.
waiting for anyone?"
And
Nope.
they yeah, not for you. Yeah, by
Yeah.
the way, we're gonna take this plate away. You can't even enjoy having it across from you on the table.
Yeah.
Like, and then I'm like
We need
thinking
that for
back,
someone else.
God help any woman for going out like on her own to a lunch, like and just enjoying peace and quiet, like because
Mm.
there's a stigma with that, but like I have a problem with that messaging. Like of all the freaking things that we're gonna, push on Wonder Woman, like this strong, empowered female is like, no, she's gonna be upset about, her boyfriend.
Yeah. Okay.
And
And also she's in regards to that, she has had nearly 100 years to get over it, and
yeah, like I don't want a sappy love storyline
yeah.
just thrown in there. Like
Oh,
that's
sorry, about 70 years at that point.
yeah, yeah,
I'm trying to think about the dates of World War One.
yeah.
But yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, but
The
that's I think that's why I had such animosity towards the whole thing. Again, like there's nothing wrong with a love plot in it, but like there's so few female driven superhero movies, like, and I know I did this in the last one, and I feel
no,
bad
it's
like
fine.
comparing
It's fine.
like all these movies, but like Captain Marvel did it well. Like she just went around
Okay.
kicking everybody's ass, like she's remembering things. Like we need more of that. Like I think you brought up a point last time in the podcast. I don't care how we get there. I just want to get there. I want to shed that element from all like women's storylines and just get into a strong place, and then you can
Mm.
deviate with it. Like once we get on like a okay, we're not going to expect every female character to have some sort of sappy like love story or like self-consciousness like about how she looks and how she's going to dress, and like she's not sexy enough or she's not suave enough, like like let it go.
Those are still very male orientated kind of story points. I
Mm.
think so. I guess, yeah, you're absolutely right there. However, I will also say that if you look at any, like, I think those are fairly common worries, you know, for everyone, men and women. Oh, I'm not attractive enough. I'm not. I don't dress very well. I don't. I'm not cool. I'm not sexy. I'm not. I'm not in a relationship. I'm not this and not that. And yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe the true empowerment might be a film that concentrates as you say, on a character being everything they are rather than everything they're not. However, where's the arc then? I don't
Yeah.
know necessarily where the arc.
I
There's
mean,
got
I
to
don't
be
know.
there's
Yeah.
got to be growth for a character. And I think she does grow in this, and I'm curious to see what they do with the third movie. Like, will they bring it up to date? Because, like, literally, the moment this movie was out, they were like, "Yep, we're going ahead with Wonder Woman 3." Although I never felt that would be in any doubt,
Mm.
despite this kind of crazy release thing they're doing
Yeah.
now, with the movies streaming and at cinemas at the same time, except in England, of course, where I had to wait just over two
I know
weeks.
that was so annoying. Like everybody's talking about it in the U.S. when I was living there, and like can't get it yet.
Yeah. Like it drove me mad this time around because I think there's a rule over here where you've got to have a reasonable gap between the film coming out at cinemas and the film coming out for any kind of home use. And so it gets caught up in that. But yeah, and I've seen it. I'm really happy with it. I think it's a bit long. It certainly whets my appetite for Wonder Woman 3 or Wonder Woman 87 or Wonder Woman 95, whatever they're going to call it. I would like it if they did. Actually, they went through all the decades.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe supplement some of the comic stuff from those time periods would be.
Yeah. Or jump back. Like I'd love to see something that goes back to the in between period, to like the 60s, like the
Oh yeah.
Cold War and stuff, and because I know, like, I don't know if you know this from the TV show. There's a weird thing where the first season or two is set during World War II,
Yeah.
and then it jumps to like the 70s or something.
So when I've seen it before, but like I didn't remember it in that time period. So I'm watching, I was like, whoa, like what's going on over here? And I remember this in like the 80s, and then she's spinning around with her little like, ooh, shake your money
Yeah.
maker, like which I think the theme song was different. Oh, and by the way, I'm just gonna say a comment on the show. It was a little scandalous. I'm surprised that they got away with some of these outfits in that time period.
Okay.
Because it was kind of just right after the Vietnam War. And then, like,
Right.
they're walking around in like these little skimpy outfits on the beach, in that first scene. I'm like, whoa, I'm like, this was a little.
I think though it was very much sold on, as Charlie's Angels was, sex,
Yeah.
but not actual sex, just the
It was,
vague air of sex.
yeah. And
You
even the fight scenes for like, wow, like now I see why this was a hit, like a real hit then, like not to like downplay it. Like it was really awesome. And like I'm looking forward to continuing watching the TV
okay.
show.
Oh, I'm really pleased.
And and I just gotta jump back real quick about the whole Steve thing.
Good, go for it.
He is heavily prevalent in the comics and the TV show.
Mm.
So like to think that they would deviate from him too much in the movies is, that's an unfair point. I think I was pushing, but like just to clear the air with Steve. but yeah, the TV show was great.
Right. I'm really pleased that you got something out of it and you're able to kind of go back and look at it. I have not watched that show in any form since I was a kid. Like, I mean, I'm talking like a young kid, like 8 or 9. Like, I have not watched that show since then.
You got it.
I might have to give it another look.
We know about that invisible plane.
Yeah, I just I'm not sure how much of it I'd have the patience to sit and watch now, though.
The first episode was it was an hour long. It's like,
right.
Oh. Yeah. So
It's a nice, yeah, it's good. It's good that it's a nice full bit of entertainment. I haven't, yeah, I just haven't seen it in a long time, and of course there is a nice nod to the TV show right at the end of this, which I don't want to give away, although we've given away spoilers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to give it away, but there is a nice nod towards the TV show. But I
Yeah, that was
mean,
the
yeah,
best
I'd,
part.
I'd watch this again. I'd watch this again. I'd watch a Wonder Woman 3. I would definitely stick with this. I actually really preferred this to the first one. Um, although I have to say, when I watched the first movie, I wasn't as kind of clued in as to what was really going on. As because like a few people went to me, oh no, this is actually this, and it should be, she's actually kind of like I had a problem with surrounding her with so many male soldiers
Okay.
um, because of her power set.
Hmm.
And someone actually went to me, no, because each of those guys represents something she's never seen before. So one represents racism, another represents post traumatic stress, and it's just like, oh yeah, actually now I get it. I get why they're there. And since then I have rewatched that film, trying to take some of that stuff on board. There's parts of it I still find utterly ludicrous.
Really?
The first movie, yeah, I mean the ending is terrible, and not to be so harsh, but that the visual effects and I actually really wanted. Do you know what I
What?
kind of really wanted? And again, it gets back to that. Why aren't they making it just for me?
Yeah.
But I really wanted Ares to have taken over, like to turn out to be, um, is it Madame Poison, like Doctor Poison? Because
Yes.
in a
Yeah,
way,
yeah, actually, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah.
from the point of view where he's trying to, as a god, he's trying to subjugate the women of Themyscira and go against
Hmm.
who they are. That kind of would have been the ultimate fu. Would have just been actually I'm this woman
Yeah.
and I'm kind of look at all these horrible things I've done and can do.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually, yeah, I don't like the ending at all. And I think a lot of it was quite, I don't know. I didn't like it as much as I really wanted to. And I always go into these things going, I hope this is good. I really want to like this. I
Yeah.
never go in thinking, well, I really hope this sucks. Because I
I
think, yeah,
don't want to waste my life watching shitty movies.
yeah. And you're selling yourself short and it turns people away from comics. My hope is that people will always go and read comics. And after watching these movies, and it certainly always makes me go and read more about a character. Although, as we can tell by my comics knowledge for this and for New Mutants, not enough.
I dove in. I dove in.
Yeah,
I
yeah, and I'm really
definitely
glad you
will.
did. Thank you.
I will look at more of them. I want to see more with like the whole Barbara thing. Like there are a bunch of iterations of that character,
Yeah,
which I thought was really interesting, and why they just remove them. They remove the first two from the storyline, period. They just don't want them part of it. Then they have the third one killing off the fourth one, going back to the third one, and then like in the new 52 and then the rebirth ones, it's like what the hell is going on with this
mm.
character? Like can't get the story straight at all. So I'm gonna have to do some digging in that.
Oh, fantastic! I mean, I hope you have fun with that. That they're in
Yeah.
the most recent run of Wonder Woman. Max Lord has come back, which I think is the first time he's been introduced since she killed him off. And that I think those issues were quite a lot of fun. So I can't remember what issue numbers they are, sort of around the 750, 760, something like that. But yeah, for anyone listening, I'm sure they'll be out in trade soon. Sort of the current DC Universe Wonder Woman. Go back and take a look at that. I understand the Wonder Woman Future State stuff that's out right now is excellent. I haven't had a chance to look at it because unfortunately I've got to kind of skip comics for a couple of months. I'm too broke, yeah, and that I'm still like I'm surrounded by. You can't see, but behind here is a
Stacks of
whole
comics
stack
everywhere.
of but yeah,
See my
Nikki,
other room. Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's under the. I'm sitting on them, but thank you, thank you so much for coming back
Thank
on and doing
you.
this.
Thanks so
It's
much for
been
having me. This is so
no,
much
it's
fun.
been an absolute pleasure. If people want to look at your artwork or listen to your music, where can they find you?
Please drop on by to Slanted Line on Instagram, and yeah, send me a message. I'd love to connect. I hope you're not offended by too many things I say on here. Hopefully, in the new movies to come, I'll have a much brighter outlook on the
It's
on the
important to
story.
get different views on. It's important to get different views on, I think. So I'm always really grateful that you've come on and you've done this, and we've done just over an hour on this, which is great. So I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yo.
But as Nikki said, do take a look at her work at Slanted Line on Instagram. You're Instagram only, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's just like I cut all the other. There's too many
Yeah.
social sites. Too much to keep up with. But yeah, if you hit me up on Instagram, I'll definitely see it. And yeah, I'd love to talk art and renditions of stuff. If you want to just see something on the page, I'll do a version of it. So yeah.
Nice. That's great.
Thank
And
you.
Nikki's art is fantastic, as is her music. I really enjoy listening to her stuff and seeing her art. And you can find us back here. I don't know what the next one is yet, Nikki, because it's a while before the next movie comes out. So on the channel right now, on the YouTube channel and on the website, you can find Liz and I talking about WandaVision, which is on schedule to be a weekly show. It's called The Scarlet Watch, so it's a weekly after show for WandaVision, which is playing now on Disney Plus. Nikki and I will be back doing something soon. I hope we've just got to figure out.
Read you Predator.
Have you ever
I had a strong opinion about that one, Paul?
I don't. Okay, I don't know if you've ever heard the. We did a review of The Predator, which was me and my friend Tom, who I used to work with, and Rob Debb, another pal of mine who I've done loads of podcasts with, and we did not. We spent more time talking about the original Predator movie than we did about the new Predator movie that we were actually there to review. Not a good sign. I'll send you that sometime.
Yeah, and I saw that in London too. Loved it.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
That's still my London days.
Oh, amazing, amazing. Well, I hope once all the restrictions are lifted, we all get to actually meet in person again.
I know.
Because it's been a long time, but I'm always glad to see you on video and say hi. And thank you very much again for doing this. Follow the Comic Crush at the Comic Crush on Twitter and Instagram, and the Comic Crush page on Facebook. Please do take a look at our Patreon and our web store, all of which helps us keep going and helps us get paid, because this is what we do, and I really love doing it, and I want to keep doing it. So please help out there. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. We'll catch you soon on the Crush, and leave a comment below. Bye.